Okay, so today we're going to in this video make a drawing of this trolley wheel, and this drawing has a lot of really oddly placed dimensions because of all the different functions that this thing handles in this piece or in this assembly. So there's a very specific way we kind of want to go about it. I'm going to show you some techniques. Your drawing at the end doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but I'll at least show you some ways to kind of organize things and get them in place. All right, so I'm going to drag this over. I'm going to pull up my wheel I made in a previous video. I'm going to go New, Drawing. I'm going to name my drawing what I named my wheel. Maybe different for you. Empty with format. I'm going to browse. I'm going to pull up one of my formats that I've created in a different video. So this is a big piece. I'm going to assume I probably need at least a couple views, and I want my dimensions, there's a lot of dimensions, so I want my dimensions to be kind of easy to read, but not crowded. So I definitely want to look at a C or a D size. Now just kind of looking at this piece really quickly, all right, we have a lot of diameters, we have a lot of widths, a lot of rounds, probably going to have to put some sections in, things like that. So I'm going to lean towards a D size. Just because of the complexity of the piece, but I could probably get away with a C size. I just want a little more room, to be honest. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that. I'm going to hit OK. And now, because I haven't put any parameters into this piece in the video that I made it, it's going to have a lot of parameters I need to fill in. So the material for this is cast iron. No material 2. The title is Trolley Wheel. No title line 2. Next assembly is going to be whatever the assembly drawing number is going to be for this year's project. It's MS-106. All right, drawn by me. The revision is going to be a dash for now. The date I'm drawing this today is 2/20/20. Good vision today. Okay, so now I've got my template here. I'm going to hold right click. I'm going to put it in a general view. Turn that off because I get sick of the combined state. That doesn't apply here. So I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to left click. And I'm going to look at a couple different things. So first off, this is probably not my best primary view. Okay, and the reason for that is that this one here shows much better what my overall part looks like. Okay, it shows right away it's round, tells the person who has to make this what type of material stock to start with. So I'm going to hit OK on that one. Now, I'm going to project some views off. So first off, I think I'm going to need a side view for sure. Now, that's going to be important because I have a lot of features that are inside. I might be able to get away with just using a section on this, but I have a feeling I might need more views than this. Now I'm also going to throw a general view up here because I want a nice ISO. I'm going to hit OK. And here's why I do that. So now I can hold Control, pick all of these at the same time, right click, go to Properties, and I can change all of their display style. So there's a lot of features here. I don't see value of showing hidden lines on these two, so I'm going to go no hidden. And I like the dimmed setting. It's up to you what you want to use, but I really like dimmed for tangent edges. And I'm going to hit OK. Okay, ooh, didn't pick that one. So I'll do the same thing. View display, no hidden. Ooh, it's getting aggressive. Dimmed. I'm going to hit OK. Okay, now I can't move my views right now. That's because I have to turn off my lock view movement. You can turn that off in your DTL settings if you want to. All right, I'm going to move that down and move this over. Okay, now I probably need a section. Now for my section, just to make it a little simpler, I kind of like this side, but I do have the potential of a hole crossing through this here. So I might want to use this one for showing maybe just like simpler outside features, and then maybe I want to project a view up here. I'll double click it to change my view display. No hidden. Dimmed. I'm going to hit OK. Maybe this is a better one for my section because then my cutting plane is going to go right through this circle and I can show the rounds on either side of it. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in my part. I'm going to put a section view in. So I'm going to right click on 106-01. I'm going to hit Open. And then I'm going to go to my View Manager right up here. And I'm going to pick Sections. I'm going to go New and I'm going to make a planar section. I'm going to name this section A because it's my first one. I'm going to turn on my planes. I'm going to say A goes right through here. Okay, and you can see now, I can see that round really well, and I can see the hole goes through. So I'm going to hit my checkbox. I'm going to say close. I'm going to save it. I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to turn my planes back off. Okay, now, I can double click on this view, which will bring me into properties. I'll go to sections. 2D cross section, hit my plus sign, go to A, and then the other thing I like to do is scroll all the way over. I can do this after, but I'm going to select this. I'm going to say I want my arrows right here, okay, on that view. So now I can hit OK. And now I've got a nice section here that shows everything. Now there's a couple things I like to do every time I put a section in. First thing, I hover over the hatch, okay, and then I left click it, hold right click, and go to properties. Okay, now here's why. All right, I do not like the spacing of this right now. If I zoom out, you know, I can kind of tell it's a section, but the spacing's not dense enough for me. So I could go spacing, and I can go half. All right, that's probably good. I could even go more if I want to. I like kind of a dense section like that personally. All right, I can also mess with all sorts of other stuff. Right now, this is at a 45-degree angle by default. I could go 30, I could go 0, I don't know why you'd go 0, 30, 45, 60. I could change it if I want to go 44.75 for no reason. I could do that. Okay, when you're making an assembly section, this is much more valuable because now you can differentiate parts a little bit easier. I can change styles, everything, but I'm good with this. So I'm going to middle click a few times to get out of there. And then when I left click, you can see now my section's a little bit better. All right. The other thing I like to do is I like to pick the section title, go up to Format, okay, and I like to move it to Center because that'll put it right in the center of your view. Don't ask me why it's not that way to begin with, but it is. So I'm going to left click. I'm just going to drag it down. I'll probably put a offset line in or something later on. Now, as far as your section cutting plane goes, the way you can move that around, the way I like to move it around, is you can left click on the cutting plane to highlight it. Now you can see I get this little movement arrow. If you click on the arrow that's coming out and left click and drag, you can see both of the arrows move together. Okay, so I can drag this in, I can drag this in, and the arrows will stay in line. Now in some scenarios you might need one that's a little longer than another one. Then you just click on the arrow and drag it out. But if I'm clicking on in between the arrow, like the line that comes from your phantom line, it's going to move them together. And I like them to be at the same length unless I have to move it around for some reason. All right, now I'm going to give myself some space. So I'm going to left click my view. I'm going to kind of spread them out a little bit. And I'm going to start putting in some dimensions and see where the best places to put them are. Okay, now where my dimensions go are going to dictate, okay, for example, if I have axes that are showing or not, okay? And as we go, that's probably going to become more apparent. So I'm going to go to Annotate, Show Model Annotations, make sure I'm on the Dimension tab, and what I like to do is just kind of go right down the tree. So I'll go Revolve number 1, I'll see what pops up. Revolve number 1 has a lot of information, okay? And the reason for that is that's basically all of my dimensions other than my retaining rings. Okay, so there's a lot of information I need here, and a lot of it's going to have to go up here just because I can't see some of that interior stuff. All right, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them all on. I'm going to hit apply. I'm going to close out of this, and then the first thing I always do is I pick my 360 and I delete it because we don't need 360. It's round, we can tell. All right, then what I like to do is drag these out. So I just left click it once and then left click again and drag, and that allows me to kind of change where my dimensions are going just so I can see I mean, obviously the size gives it away in some respect, but now I can see much easier which are my smaller ones, which are my bigger ones, etc. So now I'm going to start moving these around without any real rhyme or reason right now. These ones all go to interior features, so I'm going to select them all. I'm going to hold control and pick this one too. See what else. That one's probably good for there. That one's probably good for there. This one's definitely not. All right, so I'm going to hold control, select each of them. I'm going to hold right click, okay? And right up here, we have move to view. So I'm going to select move to view, and I'm going to click this view. All right. Now, first thing I do before I move anything, because if I move it right now, they all move together. Okay. I'm going to click, so then I can click these manually and move them around. All right. So I've got like a 15 degrees. That looks like a pretty handy dimension to have. However, I probably don't need all those decimal places. So once I pick it, I can change my dimension format to have 0 decimal places. All right. Let's see what else we have. We have the thickness there. We have a distance to the front. And we have a thickness from there to there. All right. Now I'm going to assume all these dimensions are actually like needed. If I was personally going to dimension this thing, I might not dimension it the same way. But because that's the way the drawing initially looked, I'm going to assume that these are like function dimensions that, you know, are much more valuable than the way I would typically dimension it. So I'm just going to leave those how they are for now. The 15's a little cleaned up, but otherwise, I'm not going to mess around with it. Now this guy, 9.5, I can't go to 0, but I can go to 1 decimal place. Save myself a little space there. Okay, and then I'll probably just drag it out like that. Flip it. All right, now I'll just drag this down. That looks like a pretty good place for that dimension. All right. A little confusing, might not be the way I dimension it, but again, I'm going to assume the people who made the drawing we're working off of had a reason for why they were showing these dimensions. All right, I've got an 8 degree here. I can change that one. All right, I can move this up. All right, and I'm going to flip that out, and now I got a little bit of some dimensions kind of bunching together. So I'm going to take both of these. I'll hold control, pick both of them, bring them all down here. Bring all these extension lines down too. And then I'm just going to rearrange them. So I'm going to go, you can go right there. You can go right down here. We'll bring that up. You can leave a little gap. Same thing, bring this up. Leave a little gap as well. We'll rearrange them as we go. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my outside dimension over as well, because I think that's probably easier to visualize from over here. So I'm going to pick it, move to view, move it over here. Yeah, that looks like a way better place for it. Okay, now let's see what else we have. We've got a 6.375. That might be a good one to move over. So let's see if it works. We move it over. That looks like a logical place for it. Gives us a reference for that 9.5 degrees. I like that. All right, we're going to drag this out a little bit. All right, I don't love that this goes to like a theoretical intersection, but it is what it is. Okay, let's see what else we have. This is our outside diameter of that. And this is, let's pick this one, move it over to see where it goes. Yeah, so that's an interior dimension. So we're going to move all 3 of these up top. I'm going to hold control, pick all these. Right click, move to view, move them up here. Yeah, that's a way more logical place for these. Okay, so, excuse me. Now, I have a couple other options I can do. Okay, so first off, this stuff's really crowded right now, and it's going to continue to get more and more crowded as I add more dimensions. All right, but I at least have a logical place for some of these things. All right, now for me, I think we'd be better off with a detail view that could kind of simplify all the stuff that's going on inside here. So we're going to do that. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back up to layout up here. All right. And now I can pick detailed view here. It's also under here. If I hold right click, I can go detailed view here. All right. And it says select the center point on the existing view. All right. Now in this detail view, I'm going to put all of my widths and everything of my retaining rings. I'm going to put basically a nice little section that goes from the end of this all the way down to this down here. So I can stick that 0.125 in there as well. So I'm going to say the center point's probably somewhere around here. All right. And then it says sketch a spline. Now when I create a spline, I'm going to create it kind of like this. So I'm going to go right through here. I'm going to make kind of a squiggly line. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to get this in here too so we can show the rounds all in the same thing. All right, so I'm going to go make kind of a squiggly line to show that it's a break. Bear with me. I am super picky about these, so there is the potential that if it doesn't look good, I might redo it. All right, and when I get back to my beginning, I'm going to middle click. There's my detail. I'm going to say put it right over there. All right. Now, same sort of thing. I'm going to pick this. I'm going to go up to format. I'm going to say center it. I don't know why it's not centered to begin with, but it's not. Okay. And the reason I like this is that you're going to see when we put those retaining rings in, this is going to be a much more natural view to show them. All right. So now I can take this one. I can take this one. I can take this. I can take this. I can take this. And I can move all of them to that detail view. All right, we're getting less and less crowded by the second. And actually, you know what? I'm going to move this guy over there too. All right, so now I can take this, flip it. All right, and then I'm going to do one of these. So I'm going to right click it. And I'm going to say flip my text, flip it out like that. All right, let's see what else we have. We've got this guy here. All right. Not really a nice place to put these. Let's go like this. Let's see if we can make these look nice. Same thing, hold right click, flip it. The other one's going to be the pain, I think. That's okay. All right, so let's take this one, just drag it out, close it, flip it again. Yeah, there's really not going to be a nice way to lay these out. Let's move these out. Let's move this one out. And then let's flip this one too. All right. Now I'm going to bring them in a little more. Save myself some space. These look fairly well spaced out. Now I've got to adjust all my extension lines. So for this one, I'm going to have to drag it out to find where the end of it is. There it is. Drag that to there. Bring that right in like that. For these, that one's pretty good. This one's going to have to go to where my break is. This one's going to have to do the same. All right. Now for our diameters, I got a couple things I've got to do. So I've got to pull it up like this. If you don't show the other end of the diameter, it gives you this nice like double line, which I really like, or double arrow, I should say, because for whatever reason, just saves you a little space, makes things look a little bit better. All right. So for this one, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to change my dimension text. I'm going to say that this applies to 2 diameters. So 2x in a space will do that for me. Let's see, do any of these? No, that one's good. That gets us to there. That gets us there. So none of these need any notes. This one I could technically say 3 times, but it's kind of understood that that hole goes all the way through. All right, I can move this one over. And I can move my whole view over. Give myself some more space. Actually, I can even drag all this down. Drawing's looking better by the second. Okay, now over here, how am I looking? I got to fix some extension lines. Make sure I'm nice and centered. My detail view, I just pick that. I can drag it around. I like that up there. I think that looks good. Okay, got my angle here. Drag that extension line out. It's looking pretty good, I think. All right, this one over here is still looking good. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to my next one. Show model annotations. Dimension. Revolve number 2. These are my retaining rings. So this time I know I only have a few dimensions, so I'm going to go through and left pick each of them. I'm going to hit apply. I'm going to close out of there. Then I'm going to take each of these, hold control. I'm going to hold right click. I'm going to move them to my detail view. And now here's the advantage, okay? I can drag this down. I can drag this down, okay? Just like this. And I can say, I'm missing a dimension here. 1 second. Show model annotations, revolve. There it is. Missed that one, sorry. Hit OK. I'm going to hold right click. I'll move it up here. Okay, so now I can kind of organize all my retaining ring dimensions in a nice, hopefully nice fashion. So we'll drag this one out. Go find where that one ran off to. Drag that one down. Same thing. Drag my double arrows out. Might have to move it over first. Drag those out. And then I'll drag this in like this. Okay. Move that right up there. Okay, so now I've got a nice layout there of each of these. This applies 2 times, so I'm going to click that, dimension text. There's 2 grooves. All right, now I've got some dimensions there. Now next one, okay, is I'm going to show my pattern of my hole. Okay, and what I'm going to do with this, actually, is I'm going to make myself a nice note that absorbs some dimensions. Okay, so I'm going to drag this out here. I'm going to drag this out here. Now, first thing I need to do, okay, is I need to figure out what this right here dimension number is. D26. By clicking it, I can see that. Okay, so now I'm going to go in here and go dimension text. And say there's 3 times these. They go through, and they're on and D26. You can see it puts that 4 in there, and now when I click out of there, it's there, and now I can delete that and get rid of it. All right, and that's just a simple way to say that. All right, and actually I can add a little bit more, and I'm going to add equispaced, or you could always say EQSP, equally spaced. All right, used to work with a British guy, always put equispaced. Probably the only place I've ever seen that word. All right, clean this up. You can see I'm very over the top with the details stuff, just moving stuff around, making it look nice. All right, but this is a constant thing. You have to just kind of constantly polish your drawing here if you want to make a really nice drawing. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way down. So now I've got some rounds, and you know what I'm going to do for those? I'm just going to show all of them. All right, so I'm going to go, okay, yeah, that one works. All right, this one, good. This one, good. And I'll move them around after. Okay, so now let's see what I have. This one, probably in a good place as it is. Just drag it maybe out like that so it doesn't interfere with anything else. Maybe I'll put this over here. That looks pretty good there. It's maybe not a bad place for it. Now this, hold control this, this. These are all rounds that I should probably show in my section view. So I'm going to move them up here. All right, and now I can pull these out in a really nice, easy to read way. So I'll drag that up. That one looks good right there. This one looks good there. This one looks good there. All right, so I don't have any problem with those. Okay, but for this one, this actually applies to both these inside ones and here. So I'm going to say for this one, this is 4 times. Okay, this one's 1 time, this one's 1 time, this one's 1 time, and this one I should probably go up here and pick Edit Attachment. I could actually come up here and pick this. I'll stack these together so it's really obvious. Just like that. There we go. Nice way to show that. Okay, now I've got all my rounds in. All right, my last step is getting my axes. So I'm going to go Show Model Annotations. I'm going to go in here. Okay, and I'm going to look at what do I have that is dimension out of diameter here. So I'm going to show in my view. I'm going to say, well, I definitely need the one that goes down the middle. Now over here, I don't have any really to show. Over here, I definitely want to show my 3 circles and also my main axes down the middle. And over here, I just need the one down the middle. I'm going to hit OK. And now I have a nice drawing. Okay, and actually put in like the limit dimensions and stuff. We'll do that in another video.